Hello, I'm David Phobes. I'm a lecturer and an artist in the School of Art and Design at San Diego State University. This video is about how I use the application course key to engage my students, to monitor their efforts, and to adjust my teaching methodology to what I see through the application. Course Key was developed by several students through the Zahn Center at San Diego State University about 5 years ago. I was one of the early adopters of this platform, and they've been getting better and better. It first had quite a few bugs, but they've worked them out. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how I use this technology. So first of all, you can take attendance with it, which is terrific. A signal is sent out either through the audio system in the lecture hall or through my phone in a small classroom, and then their phone picks it up. In a large lecture class, attendance can be tricky. I found when I was using clickers, they were just passing the clickers off to one another, and that was giving a kind of false sense of attendance. But I find that they don't want to pass their phones off to one another, so this is good. Attendance has been about 90%, on average throughout the semester, and that's not bad. The other thing is I use this for quizzes, and this is really terrific because I can load images into the quizzes, and then I can send them out. So I do this while they're in the class. We usually do it either right at the beginning of the class or at the end of class. They're usually about 8 to 10 questions, and I give them about 5 minutes to take the quiz. When we started, I send it out and I let them know that they can take the quiz collaboratively. And they're usually really thrown by this because they're so programmed to believe that, taking a quiz collaboratively is actually cheating. And it takes a little while for me to encourage them to actually talk with one another. It's really interesting as I walk around the room and listen to them sort of argue with one another why one answer is the right answer or not. It's because the way I frame the questions is it really takes a tremendous amount of critical thinking to come up with the right answer. And there is a correct answer. Sometimes there may be multiple correct answers, and you can. There are settings within the quiz so you can allow for that. But it's a great way to get them engaged. And then what we do is, as soon as I close the quiz down, the quiz is instantly graded, and they can see their results. And then we can talk about in class right there why one answer was correct and another answer was not correct. In my 104 class, I often will use it, we'll start out with a quiz, we take it, and then we start generating discussion from that. And it's great because they've already been discussing and they're open to that. And it sets the mood for the classroom. Another thing that I do is there's a chat feature in the application. It's got a few problems because you can't respond in threads. And if somebody posts an answer and somebody wants to respond, it's not posted right below their answer. It's just queued up. So that's a little bit ineffective, but overall it really is pretty interesting. And so at the beginning of the semester, I will send out in the chat. I will set up a question. And this can go out, anytime. They don't have to be in the classroom to do this. So I'll say at the end of the class, watch your chat, I'm going to send out a question. And so it may be something like, especially at the beginning of classes, post an image of your favorite contemporary visual artist. And usually I'm really appalled at what they're looking at. And sometimes I'm intrigued, but it's interesting because then they start talking about it. And as I look through the chat, I can see if it's work I'm not familiar with and I'm intrigued with. I can look it up, and maybe I'll bring it up in the next lecture or a lecture, or we'll talk about it. They're not graded, and so students have to be kind of motivated to do that. But I think at the beginning they're very interested in learning about one another, and it's a great way to get them to find out, what they like and what they don't like, and it's a way for me to kind of see what they're looking at, what's their level of visual literacy. The other thing is that I can take polls, and this is really terrific. I can be in the middle of a lecture, and then I'll bring up a poll. And a poll is the same as a quiz, except that there's not a right or wrong answer, so they just get points for participating. But what's really great is we can monitor live in class the results of the polls, and it comes up as a graph. And I'll ask them a question about something I might have just presented that may be controversial. They show up as anonymous. So it's like taking their pulse immediately in the classroom after they've heard something that's, maybe controversial or something that maybe they're not aware of. And it's a great way to just monitor what students are thinking about at that moment. It's real-time monitoring of students, attitudes and perceptions. And that's a terrific aspect of this. The other thing I'll do is, I can look at all this data after the quizzes and the polls and those kinds of things, and attendance, and I can look and see, what seems to engage them, what brings them to the classroom, and I can include more of that. I always have a poll at the end of the semester that sort of polls them about, the class and how they used it. And, questions like, was there enough time for you to meet other people in the classroom? And it's interesting because about 45% say no, but 55% say yes. And so, I think about, well, how can I create an environment in a large classroom like that to get them more engaged with one another? So things like that. So Course Key is really a terrific tool, and I would suggest using it. I use it to great effect. Thank you.